Your life isn't answering your goals, it's answering your questions. The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy famously says, the answer to life is 42. The real problem was never the answer. The real problem was that nobody knew the question. And strangely enough, that's exactly how most people live their lives. They chase answers, new books, new strategies, new goals. And they never notice the question their nervous system is asking all day long. And that hidden question quietly shapes their entire life. This idea affects how you think, how you act, and what you believe is possible for your life. Because your life isn't answering your goals, your life is answering your questions. And the final insight of this video is the one that explains why two people can live in the same world but experience completely different realities. Your brain is a question machine. This is the first insight. Your brain is not primarily an answer machine. Your brain is a question machine. All day long, it's asking questions like, is this safe? Is this dangerous? Do people accept me? Or are they rejecting me? Can I do this or will I fail? And here's the most important part. Once your brain asks a question, its job becomes simple. Find evidence. In neuroscience, this is called predictive processing. Your brain predicts reality, then filters the world to confirm those predictions. In other words, your brain becomes a detective searching for proof, and the question it's investigating determines the clues it notices. Here's where things get interesting. Most people don't actually know the question their mind is asking. People think they are asking productive questions like, how do I succeed? How do I build a greater life? How do I grow? The dreaded hows. And underneath that, the nervous system is often asking something very different. Questions like, why does this always happen to me? Why am I behind everyone else? Why am I not enough? Why is life so hard? And the brain very obediently starts collecting proof. You see it in conversations, you see it in social media, you see it in memories, you see it everywhere. Not because those questions are true, but because the brain is trying to solve them. And when your mind keeps asking the same question, life starts looking like the answer. This is where manifestation gets misunderstood. People think manifestation is about forcing belief or repeating affirmations or pretending something is true. But the deeper mechanism is simpler. Your identity creates your questions. Your questions guide your perception. Your perception shapes your decisions, and your decisions create your life. So manifestation isn't magic. It's the downstream result of the questions your mind keeps asking, and you're always manifesting. If your nervous system keeps asking, what could go wrong? Your brain becomes a threat detection system. And if your nervous system asks, what could work here? Now your brain becomes an opportunity detector. Same world, different question, different life. Pay attention to this. Most people try to change their answers, but the real leverage is changing the question. When the question changes, the brain reorganizes itself to find new possibilities. Let me give you a simple example. Imagine two people starting the exact same project. Person number one asks, what if I fail? So the brain starts scanning for risk. Every challenge feels like confirmation. Every mistake feels like proof. Now, person number two asks a different question. What would make this work? Now the brain scans for resources, ideas, allies, solutions. Same situation, different question. Completely different experience of reality. And that leads to the question that changes everything. Instead of asking, Why is this happening to me? Ask something radically different. Ask, who do I need to become for this to work? Or even simpler, ask, what would the person I want to become do next? Notice what happens instantly. Your nervous system shifts, your brain stops scanning for threat and starts scanning for capability. You move from victim thinking to creator thinking. And when that shift happens, your behavior begins to change. And behavior is what actually creates life outcomes. There's one final insight that ties this entire series together. Everything we've talked about in this series leads to one realization. Calm expands awareness. Awareness expands choice. Choice creates identity. Identity shapes perception. Perception shapes reality. The entire process begins with one simple thing: the question your mind keeps asking. And most people never realize they're living inside a question. What question do you notice your mind asking most often during the day? The Hitchhiker's Guide joked that the answer to life was 42. The deeper insight was hidden in the joke. The problem isn't the answer, the problem is the question. If you want a different life, don't chase better answers. Train yourself to ask better questions. Reality doesn't respond to your wishes. Reality responds to the questions your nervous system is living inside. So here's the real question. What question is your life currently answering? And what question would create a completely different life? Your life isn't answering your goals, it's answering your questions. Go in love and peace with wisdom and understanding. Enjoy this day. And I would love to hear the questions you're asking yourself in the comments.